Welcome back. Thank you for staying with KTN Prime. We continue reflecting on the AUC election and the political ramifications that may be right here in the country. I'm joined in studio by two legislators, Makali Mulu, Member of Parliament Kitui Central, and Stephen Mogaka, Member of Parliament West Mugirango. Asanteni sana for your time. Let's just recap what you'll be waking up to tomorrow on Kenya's bold newspaper, The Standard, because it goes hand in hand with our conversation right here. It's all to do with the power play in a bid to tame Raila. That's the headline tomorrow. Because they say, even before the dust has settled on Raila Odinga's loss in AU, a push for his appointment as Prime Minister is gaining momentum. Proponents want President Ruto to implement the NADCO report, creating the position in the Constitution. Raila's decision could reshape the political landscape ahead of 2027. And one of your colleagues right here is quoted saying, Nelson Koech, the Belgut Member of Parliament, he said today morning that the Kenya Kwanza administration should look for ways for accommodating Raila Odinga since he has got vast experience, which, if well utilized, can turn the country for the better. Interesting how a few days in politics can lead to changes in perceptions. They say only interests align. So what are the interests behind that particular statement? Gentlemen, I'd like to pick your mind on this, because the big question is what next for Raila, a man who has been referred in some quarters as the enigma in Kenyan politics, that Kenyan politics has revolved around him for so long that there might be political offense at the end of the day if he's to exit the Kenyan political scene. I'll start with you, Makali, because you're a member of Azimio, of course, just the same way as Jubilee is, but your leader, party leader, Kalonzo Musyoka, was left for the reins for Azimio to handle. But now that Raila Odinga is back, are you handing over back to Raila? What exactly are the dynamics looking like?
Okay, I think now following what has happened in Addis, from where I sit, I see Honorable Raila having about three choices. Choice number one is to come back to Kenya and continue working with President Ruto in the broad-based government. Choice number two is to come back to Kenya and ride on what the courts have already done. The courts have already declared Azimio coalition as a majority in the parliament. So you can come back and write on that and now claim that I'm the majority, and on the basis of that then push the coalition to take a number of slots in parliament, which will also make him quite powerful. And bearing in mind now that we have the Wamunyoro team, which is now following the former deputy president, he could easily get numbers which could do wonders. The third option is to come back and say, I do hang my boots. I'll go back to Bondo and I'll become an advisor to upcoming young leaders. But now, let's look at each one of them.
Okay.
Now, if he comes back and decides he's going to work with President Ruto, I can tell you for sure that Raila will put so much demand in terms of what needs to be done for his side of the coalition to manage him. And that's why you see now the issue of the NADCO report is coming up. Because if the NADCO report is passed, it will create some position for him as either Prime Minister or Chief Cabinet Secretary. And if that happens, then there will be pressure between him and Honorable Mudavadi. But I can tell you for sure, if he chooses to go that direction, you are likely to see President Ruto becomes a shadow. Because Raila will be the real president. You put so much pressure on this gentleman that he has to cede so much in terms of positions to a level that it will be Raila running the country.
Does Raila have to get a position himself?
Not him.
Okay.
I can tell you put so much demand on the side of the Kenya Kwanza government.
All right.
And what will happen is because Ruto all along has been looking forward to having Raila supporting for the purpose of 2027, then it will be very difficult for Ruto to say anything, no to anything, because he would still want him to go that direction. Now, if that is a position taken, then what will happen? We will see a Kenya Kwanza government to some extent, they will stabilize the country in terms of what is happening now. The country will remain stable, but then we will have because I don't want to call Raila a co-president, because I see a situation where Raila will be higher than Ruto in terms of power because of what he's bringing to the table.
Okay.
Now, if he decides to come back to Azimio, and I want to assure you that where we are now, Kalonzo has ably taken over and managed. I'm very consistent in terms of the way he's managing things. So I see him coming back and telling Kalonzo, my brother, you have stood behind me for many times. This is the time now to allow you to run the show, and I will be just around to give advice.
Okay.
So, but one thing I see also, if he came back to Azimio and ran with the issue of you are the majority party in parliament, it would also become very powerful.
Okay.
Now, if that happens, I see a situation where casualty number one will be the Speaker of the National Assembly, Wetangula, because Raila will say now that I'm now back to I want now to have the Speaker. Now I have many MPs in the Assembly. Now that I'm the majority leader, then the Speaker should be my position. That's why now you hear the story of the Amolo Otiende coming in. And if Amolo Otiende takes over, then the speakership, then you can do a further analysis of what happens to the Parliamentary Service Commission and those other senior positions.
Okay.
Now, if he decides to retire, Kenyans will respect him more. But now the worst bit, if he decides to retire, you go home, I think with a neck on his face. Why? The Gen Zs currently see him as a traitor. Somebody who has stood for the side of Kenyans for many years, but towards the end, he has let them down. So if he retires just from Addis to retirement, then I'm sure the young Kenyans will not be happy with the way Raila conducted himself towards the end of
And that's what they'll remember.
And that's what they will remember him for.
Okay.
So those are, from where I see, those are the scenarios.
Interesting. Looking at the political crystal ball, how or what lengths will the Kenya Kwanza administration go to keep Raila broad-based government? How do you accommodate Raila? Talk to us about it.
Thank you. I will come to Honorable Makali Mulu later because he speaks for the minority party. In Jubilee, we are the third largest party in numbers numerically in Parliament, and we don't shout about it. The Wiper Democratic Party, which Honorable Makali Mulu belongs to, has fewer members but enjoys better privileges than the third largest party.
That's how they call it Jubilee.
The third largest party.
There was a court case and it's...
if there is a very unjust group that is unjustly enriching itself, you know which one. But let us come to the business of post-AUC. ODM, as a political party, had already embraced the broad-based government arrangement.
Fully?
It was in the broad-based government because its members are in our broad-based government cabinet.
Okay.
And to that extent, therefore, before Baba went to AUC, he had already midwifed a broad-based government, which was necessitated by certain destabilizing forces in this country that wanted to make the country ungovernable. So to the extent that Baba stood up and helped stabilize the country, he is part of that stabilization measure pending the outcome of AUC, which we now know. Now back home, ODM and Baba being associated with the broad-based government, I am sure that what will be on his priority is on how now to strengthen the broad-based arrangement to be more inclusive. Because even as from Gusii on Baba's case, saying of the bits and pieces of cabinet slots he got in the broad-based arrangement, there are certain regions of this country that those goodies did not reach. And I do believe that now that that was just the beginning, and now it is going to be widened, as our Right Honorable Speaker says. It's going to be broadened, it's going to be widened and tightened. I do believe that the President and Kenya Kwanza government is going now to be embarking on a more inclusive, more broadened government that will onboard every region of the country, so that we have a Kenya that does not exclude or marginalize any section of this country. And I therefore see the Right Honorable Prime Minister giving a key role, rather than as my brother Dr. Mulu says, that he's going to be a more president than the president. Far from it. It is going to be now a more broad-based, inclusive, participatory government that is going to embrace every Kenyan and give all chances and opportunity, and including the Gen Zs, the young persons whom we are not seeing in cabinet. And therefore, our loss of that AUC position opens a new window or a new door for Kenyans now to look at each other and say, let us not take radical positions. Let us not be egocentric, as certain leaderships have shown in the past. Let us know that we don't have another country other than Kenya. Let us know that every Kenyan matters. Every community in this country matters, and let us be as inclusive as we can be, including the special persons who are disabilities, and I see that happening, and I do ask those who are taking radical positions to tone down and know that there is no Kenyan or Kenyan region that is superior to any other, and particularly the historical injustices on the distribution of national resources that this country has seen since independence. That perpetuation has got to be brought to an end, so that we come with an affirmative action to reach out to those areas that have been so far been marginalized, that have suffered a deprivation in infrastructure, job opportunities, so that those regions which form part of Kenya can also, and my brother here is an economist, and he knows that there are certain regions of this country which have been marginalized terribly. And we do hope that even with the budget that we are going to pass in June this year, that budget is going to have an affirmative action and redistribute the national resources to touch those areas that have hitherto been extremely marginalized, impoverished, and excluded from the map of Kenya.
So you're foreseeing a broader, broad-based government? I am
going to see a broader, deeper, and tighter country that carries everybody, and that can only happen when Baba is there, because his party is the only party that is national. His party is the only party that takes care of. By the way, and I have a lot of respect for Baba, because for the first time in this 13th Parliament, I have a nominated member of Parliament, Lady Honorable Irene Mayaka, from my constituency, the first since independence. And really, that is the kind of leadership I look at and say, with this kind of initiative, I see Baba's hand playing big in encompassing every region of this country, every community of this country, big and small, so that we can promote Kenyahood, promote Kenyanness, and become a patriotic nation that is non-ethnic.
So where does that leave the opposition, of which you're members of? If Raila Odinga is supposed to be accommodated even more actively in government. What next for Azimio? Is this a sinking vessel that might not make it to 2027? Is Kalonzo banking on the support of Raila Odinga after supporting him time and time again? Or is he charting his own political path, Bakali?
I think the truth is that Kalonzo is charting his own political path. Let's move to the future. And what is going to happen? Azimio, even as at now, I don't see Azimio going all the way up to 2027, because we are thinking of coming out with a grand coalition, a different one, which will bring on board different faces. And this is no secret. We have had people talk about, is it called DAP Kenya?
Yes.
The one of Honorable Amarwa, Eugene Amarwa, and that is tied closely with Natembea. Then we have Honorable former Deputy President, who is also coming out with a new party. You have Matiang, who is taking over. This guy is
Jubilee.
He's taking over Jubilee. So a lot people are talking. People are talking so that we come up with a new outfit, which can assist this country get better governance. And while I agree with Mogaka that when Raila comes, and that's what I was telling you earlier, you see more of Raila-aligned politicians joining the government. And that is if he chooses option one of continue to work with Ruto. And that's what I was telling you, you are even likely to see more Raila-aligned politicians joining the cabinet, so to an extent that if you look at the cabinet, he has more cabinet members than the other side. Don't be surprised, I'm telling you. Because I know, to me, the dynamics from where you'll be sitting, if you decide to go that direction, just say, we will call us here after 1 year, and we will be able to look at my statement and see what I'm saying. Because I've looked at it and I'm saying, you know, Raila has lost AUC chairperson.
Okay.
And when he comes back, he will be telling President Ruto, my friend, now I've lost. Despite all what you did, I've not won the position. So now what is there for me on the table, for me to remain with you? and to me, that's the most important question.
Okay.
I agree, totally agree with him. Broad-based will be broadened, strengthened, tightened, all those terminologies
but just,
will come in.
In answer directly to your question about what becomes of opposition, and this I can help Kenyans as a constitutional lawyer. In our constitution and legislative architecture, there is nothing called opposition. Yeah, what we have in parliament is a minority and majority.
True.
And the role of parliament as a parliament is three-dimensional, that it does legislation, it does oversight, and it does representation. So the duty of what was perceived as opposition is actually the duty of parliament as a house to oversight the executive. Yeah? So much so that the parliament that we have today, unless those of us who are in it don't understand, nothing stops a member aligned to government, like myself, although elected by Jubilee, I'm aligned to government, but nothing stops me from critiquing government, from oversighting those in the executive, because that is the role of parliament as a house. And therefore, anybody who has been fearing, rising up and saying our cabinet secretary for this ministry is letting down government, has not delivered, they are letting down the Kenyan people in the role bestowed upon us on oversight. And that is why liberal members of parliament, like I am from Jubilee, will stand up and tell His Excellency the President, here we are letting down our people, and where we are doing well, we articulate and tell the people we are doing well. Like I am saying, when we went to fight out for Kenya in AUC, we did a noble thing for country. Whatever the outcome, we gave our best.
So what if Kenyans believe that, Parliament perhaps won't do its role as efficiently as it should be? Case in point, last year, June 25th, we well know of the criticism that was pointed to the August House.
Yes.
Well, what happens next after that? Because
just the truth of the matter is where we are now as a parliament.
Okay.
Where we, in terms of Kenyans trusting us, we are very low. Kenyans actually do not trust parliament. And even though they are able to pick a few people to say, okay, this one may be on our side.
All right.
But generally, the assessment is that the 13th parliament, from where the perception from their side is that they don't think we have really done well as a parliament. And having been in parliament for quite a number of, now this is my third term,
yes.
So I've been 3 different parliaments. Even at personal level, when I look at the other 2 parliaments where I've served and this one, you can see there's a big difference, more so in terms of the level of capture by the executive.
Okay.
I think this parliament seems to have suffered more than the other 2. Always, any executive will attempt to capture parliament. It is a degree of capture which differs from one to the other one.
Okay.
But this one seems to have gotten quite high. And that's why you see Kenyans are not, mostly they are not supporting us. Actually, they are saying, and I don't know whether this will happen, the sooner we get the IBC in place, commissioners in place, the better for them, so that they can recall a majority of us.
Okay. You've talked about IBC, and due to time, I have to bring in this angle, because IBC, the selection panel, is racing against time. I think they gave a timeline of around April. We'll have an IBC commission in place.
Yes.
And this, of course, brings us to yet another topic, because we have lost a couple of representatives, legislators, in the last couple of days. Baringo Senator William Cheptumo passed on not too long ago. And just today we're receiving reports that Malulu Injendi, the Malava Member of Parliament, has equally passed, perhaps necessitating the need for an IEBC for this constituents to be represented. But as we finalize, I'll give you each a moment to perhaps pass your condolences and give your final remarks. I'll start with you, Makali, briefly.
Yeah, really, it is really sad that yesterday we lost Senator Cheptum of Baringo, and today we've lost our colleague, Honorable Injendi. And these are people we've served with. Actually, we served with both of them. I served with the Cheptumo 11th Parliament and 12th Parliament. Okay. And we have served with the Injendi 11th, 12th, and now 13th, because we joined at the same time. And starting with the Cheptumo was really a very good legislator in terms, he was a lawyer by profession. And he really did a lot of work in ensuring that our legislative agenda as a parliament was the best in terms of his own input. But what he was very well known for was the issue of championing matters security in Baringo. Baringo has suffered a lot of insecurity over time. And Cheptum, when he joined parliament, he really became a serious champion to ensure that they enjoy good security in the areas of North Rift. Yes. And at the same time, he was also very committed to his work, both at the National Assembly and even at the constituency level. And that's why his people were able to elect him for 2 terms in Parliament. Okay. Actually, 3 terms in Parliament, and the 4th term in the Senate.
All right.
Without any break.
Yes.
Since he joined Parliament, he has never been out of Parliament. So the country has lost. Okay. The people of Baringo have also lost, and I think the family also has lost in a big way. And the only thing you can do is really to pray that God strengthens and comforts them during this difficult time. But being our colleague, we just pray that may his soul rest in eternal peace. But when it comes to Injendi, the same story. Very good legislator, served in the Education Committee for many years. Okay. But now you see the hand of death has taken him away. We can only say, pray to the family and pray that may God's grace be sufficient for them during this difficult time. But also, may his eternal May his what? May his soul rest in eternal peace.
There we go.
We've lost you, colleagues, but God is always good and
Definitely. Your final remarks.
Thank you.
Briefly.
My final remarks, I fully associate myself with the condolence message by my senior, Dr. Makau Mulu. And on behalf of the people of West Mogrango, I do condole with the great people of Baringo who have lost their senator, a seasoned parliamentarian, a lawyer, a learned friend, who stood for the marginalized region of Baringo. And I do also remember my senior brother, Injendi Malulu of Malava, actually my mentor. I will miss you. I cannot believe that you just went one-way ticket to hospital. May God receive your souls up there in heaven, keep them in peace, and rest you in peace, and may your constituents have the strength to bear this very, very sad loss. And I can't forget to thank my people of West Mogrango who elected me here. And I want to remind them that bursary applications have now been acknowledged. Kindly, everybody, check out your name and make sure that your name is captured in the list of acknowledged bursary applications.
All right. I see you're doing your fair share of public participation right here. Asante sana for your time. Waheshimiwa, we definitely appreciate your input. And of course, the next couple of days, weeks and months will definitely be interesting in how the political alignments will shape up ahead of the 2027 general election. Stephen Mogaka, Member of Parliament West Mogirango, Asante sana, and Makali Mulu, the Member of Parliament Kitui Central. We appreciate your input, Waheshimiwa. And that's how we wrap up tonight's edition of KTN Prime. Trust us to keep you updated on the very latest, including these developing stories that are playing out in the political, legal, and the health matters as well. My name is Jesse Rogers. Have yourself a good evening.